Hello everybody, this is Tim here again, here with another movie review, and thank you for joining me for this one. This is a film I was really excited about seeing. This is Aquaman by James Wan. I was super excited about seeing this film, finally had the pleasure of watching it, and I gotta say, the film did not let me down. It's an awesome film, for me personally, the second best film in the DCU thus far, and a great great new direction for and good sign for the future films if they live up to this quality. Personal opinion, this is the second best DCU film after Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman I think had a slightly tighter script than this and a slightly more interesting idea with its script, at least more heartfelt than this. This film is a fun adventure film. The script here is not as tight as Wonder Woman, but this film is extremely fun. And it's still a good it's still a good script, but the actors really bring it to life, and just the fun adventure of this movie is just extremely enjoyable to watch. Pretty much, you got a standard setup. This Queen Nicole Kidman was supposed to marry this other guy, and she doesn't want to marry him. She ends up on land and gets saved by this lighthouse keeper, who was in the Star Wars prequels, I believe, and he ends up marrying her. Well, he doesn't marry her, but he ends up having a child with her, and that child grows up to be the half-breed Aquaman. I like that they actually mentioned Steppenwolf in this film from the Justice League film. That was pretty cool. Yeah, and the half-breed kid ends up being Aquaman, who is secretly trained by Vulko, which is William Dafoe's character. And it's cool seeing William Dafoe in here. He's supposed to be in Justice League, but he was like edited out. That sucked. I was excited to see him, and he got edited out of that. That was a mistake. But still, it's cool to see him back here. He does a great job here. All the acting is good to great. Nobody is bad here. I love the setup of this and the fun action that it comes up with when it first starts. Like when Jason Momoa is Aquaman, and he takes out pirates in the sea who like kidnap people and stuff and raid subs, and he gets on there, and it's really cool, like fun action where he takes them out like like the Hulk or like Thor. He like grabs a dude and like smashes him against the wall and shit. That was a lot of fun. And he gets in a fight with these main two pirates, a father and a son. One of them ends up becoming Black Manta, and the dude shoots him with a grenade launcher, which was really fun. And you get to a pretty interesting scene here where Black Manta's father is caught. He's stuck underneath this thing, and Aquaman could save him, but he chooses not to and leaves. And that's what causes this guy to become Black Manta and literally hate Aquaman and want to bring him down. And that's pretty much the setup for him here. And you really feel sorry for Black Manta losing his father, because Aquaman could have saved him. If he was, a hero at this point, he would have saved him. But now he's still the rebel guy. But yeah, you do really feel sorry for Black Manta just because of the way the actor plays it. He does a great job. And you get to Orm, which is played by Patrick Wilson, which is funny in another James Wan movie. At least it's not another ghost movie, them being haunted by ghosts. But he's great here. He is my Black Manta in this film is my favorite villain. He's my favorite villain of the DCU because of how well he's set up and how well he's acted with his vendetta against Aquaman. But he's not in the film enough, so you get Patrick Wilson's Orm for the most time, and because he's in the film more, he takes that spot as my favorite DC villain in terms of the live-action movies we have so far. He's great in here. Patrick Wilson is great as Orm. He really thinks he's doing the right thing. He wants to declare war on the surface world and whoop everyone's ass who's on the surface for polluting the oceans and all that kind of stuff. And the film's not really overly preachy or anything. You get all these cool underwater kingdoms like these fish people and crab people and stuff, which was really neat. The effects in this are spectacular, which makes sense for the budget. And he wants to, but he's paying off this is where the plot kind of gets weak. He's paying off the pirate dude, Black Manta, to cause trouble and stuff like that. So they'll think it's the surface dwellers, attacking Atlantis and all that. But it doesn't really go in depth about what his relationship with Black Manta is, because Black Manta kind of makes the claim yeah, we were attacked by Aquaman or whatever, and it's like, well, was Orm paying off you guys to, you know, attack that sub that Aquaman ended up saving? Or was that just some kind of business? Like, that's not fleshed out enough, really. But you get the idea, basically. He's paying him to cause trouble, so they'll think it's the surface dwellers. And so he can have a reason to go to war. And Dolph Lundgren is here as with dyed red hair as the father of Mira, played by Amber Heard. And Dolph Lundgren is actually great here. He was used very well. It really surprised me. He's also in Creed 2, which I haven't seen this year. And he does a great job here. He pretty much gets convinced by Orm to join with him, and Orm wants to go around bossing these other undersea kingdoms around to get them to join in the fight with him so he can use all their might to destroy the surface world. It just keeps building up, and pretty much Volko and Amber Heard want to stop him and get Jason Momoa, Aquaman, as the king so he can unite the worlds. And he goes down there, and he gets in a fight, and it's a really hilarious... It's just... The comedy here is really well done for the most part, for 80% of the time. He gets in a fight with Patrick Wilson. It's a really cool fight. Patrick Wilson doesn't, like, beat his ass or anything either. He holds his own extremely well. He just gets kind of overpowered. And he gets his trident broke that his mother... It used to belong to his mother, that was pretty sad. And it works in the movie really well. Of course, one thing is they keep telling you in the movie Nicole Kidman died in the trenches. Like, because of her betrayal, she was thrown into the trenches. And Patrick Wilson is also her kid by the king that she was supposed to marry. And they keep saying she was thrown into the trenches by the king and that she was supposed to have died. But you know Nicole Kidman's not dead. And when he gets to the end of the movie and she's surprised there she is, you're like, hey, you see that coming. That part doesn't really work. But other than that, you get into the film. The film really hooks you in a fun way and with some likable comedy. And the visual effects in this film are like the overall look visuals are spectacular. This is the best visuals I've ever seen in a comic book film. Like, visual-wise, this is the best visual film I've seen all year. It really reminded me of Tron Legacy by a lot. And you get to him fighting Orm, and of course he gets beat. But it's not a big, huge overall, smashing. And he gets saved by Mira, who then Orm, of course, orders his men to go to the surface world to kill him, even though Dolph Lundgren doesn't want his daughter killed. But, of course, Orm lies to him and is going to kill her anyway. And he sends Black Manta off to get him, but he's now gave Black Manta Atlantean tech, and he can build his own suit. I gotta admit, the suit does look a little silly at first, kind of like reminded me of Power Rangers, but it's a comic book type thing, and once he actually got into action, I really got into it, and I loved this action scene with Black Manta, and how he's like fighting Aquaman and stabbing him and shit and shooting the lasers out of his eyes. And you've probably seen this action scene in one of the clips and stuff like that in the trailers where Mira's like running. And I'll say this, in terms of actual action, Aquaman may be the coolest character in the movie. In terms of the actual action when it comes to the fights, Mira takes the cake, boys. I like her better than Wonder Woman. Then Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. Mira here by Amber Heard is awesome when it comes to like the fights, because her eyes like light up blue and she's able to control these like any kind of like water substance around her. It's just really awesome. And some of the problems with the flick, when it gets to like the romance part where it's like, gotta have Aquaman, of course, and Mira hooking up, it does get a little silly. Some of the comedy does. It doesn't totally mesh right. There is one really cutesy scene where Mira sees all these people eating, and she's got a thing of roses in her hands, and of course she's never like really been to the surface world. She's just like eating the rose. That was funny, and that was pretty adorable. Amber Heard does a great job here, which surprised me because I've seen her in other stuff where she sucked. But she was great in Drive Angry as well, but she's great here as well. And so they managed to take out Black Manta, who they make you think is dead, but of course, surprise, he pops up in the post-credit scene to set him up for the villain of the next film. They do a great job of setting his character up to be the villain of the next film, really well. And they have to go get this trident. Okay, it used to belong to the like old ancient king. It's a super powerful trident. It gives you like amazing abilities if you can get it. They go there to this place called the Trenches, and you get in a fight with all these crazy ass looking fish people. Which look really cool. I love like the underwater like kingdom stuff in this movie, of like all the different like crab monsters and fish people and all that. Like that's all represents all the different kingdoms of Atlantis, and how Orm's like trying to unite them against the surface world. if DC like wanted to do like a TV like show tie-in like Marvel does with some of their stuff, they could really do like a TV show of just like all the Atlantean kingdoms, like different kingdoms, like how they get along, like Game of Thrones type stuff. It would be really cool. Um, and he goes there, and they got this big. That's where he meets Nicole Kidman, finds out she's still alive. And that's where he meets this big, pretty much the Kraken monster who guards the Trident. And he managed to get it. He managed to get the Trident because he's worthy, and it gives him, impels him with even more superpowers. And he's able to commune with like all the animals of the sea now and control everything pretty much. And he takes the Kraken with him, and it shows up right in the middle of Orm. Patrick Wilson battling these like crab type creatures, which is really cool. I just love like the animalistic some of these like designs of these underwater people. It's just really cool. These crab type people, and he wants their army to join with him, and they don't want to, and he's like killing them all, to try to take their army pretty much, take over their kingdom. He combined with his own, and that's when Aquaman shows up, and he's got his the outfit that is standard Aquaman outfit. He gets off the king. It's his armor, pretty much, that had the trident, and it just looks really awesome with Jason Momoa. And Jason Momoa does a great job here. It's just like a more like biker version of Thor. It's just really fun. He does a great job here. He's not a good actor. He's not. But he's used here great to his correct potential. And the director knows how to use him. And he's great as Aquaman. And he works really well here. And he comes in there, and you get a big epic battle. One thing I will say is that I thought we were going to actually get a battle with the surface world, and that's when Aquaman was going to show up and stop everything. Like, the people were going to, like, meet the Atlanteans and everything. And the fact that that didn't happen was a bit of a disappointment. It's just, they keep it more small scale. That kind of stuff, I guess, they want to, they want to probably go into in the sequel and stuff like that, and maybe Aquaman 3 or whatever trilogy. But, that was a little disappointing. Made the film feel more small scale. But for the first film, I understand why. And he does battle with Orm in a pretty cool battle. It is a little bit too short for me, but the actual battle we get is really cool. And of course, he's now Ocean Master because he's king. And they get into a battle, and because he has the Ancient King's Trident, he should be rightfully king now. And he beats Orm, and he wants him to kill him, but of course he won't. Aquaman won't kill him. So that's when Nicole Kidman shows up and surprises him. And one thing I like about Ocean Master is that he's like a conflicted type villain. This is the reason he's my favorite DC villain of the ones I've seen so far in the movies. Not counting Black Manta, who can overthrow him when he gets his whole movie dedicated to him. But this is why he's my favorite. It's because he's conflicted. He really reminds me of the character of Loki from Thor, which makes sense. Because, it's the whole brother thing. So there's similarities there. It's unavoidable. But it doesn't take away from the fact it's done really well here. And his mother shows up, and she tells him there's been enough killing. She loves her sons and all that. And he pretty much, accepts defeat and is arrested. You get the idea that he really thinks he's doing the right thing by taking out the surface world. It's not that he's just like, super evil or power hungry. He really wants to protect Atlantis. He's just going about in an extremist, psychopathic way. He's an extremist, and he accepts defeat, and he gets arrested, and that's pretty much you kind of get like a really funny line here where he's like, Aquaman's like, what, Jason Momoa's like, what now, and Amber Heard's like, now you lead them or rule them or whatever, and he's like, yeah. It was really cool. And just the way it ends, and he's like, I'm the protector of the seas, I'm the Aquaman, similar to how like Wonder Woman ended with, her like jumping towards the screen and all that. Just really cool, beautiful effects. Other kind of plot holes in the film is like Orm, like Patrick Wilson admits that he knew about like Volko, like going off and training Aquaman when he was a teenager and all that. And that's why he's so good at fighting. And he admits he knew about that the whole time. And now he's admitting to William Dafoe that he knows that, and he's wanting him locked up. But if he knew about that the whole time, why didn't he have him killed like years ago? That doesn't really make a lot of sense, but in terms of the whole movie as a whole, it's just a really fun adventure flick. This is really, like, I can't stress that enough. It's really an adventure movie. It does remind me of Indiana Jones in a lot of ways, and just of a pure, fun adventure flick about a guy finding his place in the world. In terms of the DC movies, Man of Steel I thought was an awesome, like, new take on Superman. It's not meant to be compared to like the Christopher Reeve stuff. It's its own thing, and for that I thought it worked awesomely. Batman vs Superman had a lot of flaws, but in the end I thought it was a great a great blockbuster sequel to Man of Steel, pretty much. Suicide Squad was that's the ultimate cut, by the way, for Batman vs Superman. The theatrical cut is terrible. Suicide Squad is a huge mess, but it was an extremely fun one. Just an extremely fun. Like, I understand why some people don't like that one and they think it's the worst, but I have a hell of a fun time with that movie. And just Will Smith is hilarious in that. Then we get to Wonder Woman, which I thought was awesome. It's technically the best of the DC movies for me personally. It's not my favorite. Batman vs Superman is my personal favorite, the ultimate cut, just because I just love going back and watching it. I just love Ben Affleck's Batman, to be honest. No, wait, I take that back. Not Batman vs Superman, but the Justice League movie is actually my favorite. Because I just love the pure fun, like 70s throwback to the Super Friends type vibe of that film. And that film is not as good a film as Aquaman or Wonder Woman, but it's still fun. I know a lot of hardcore, like Zack Snyder fans, stuff like that, really hate that one because it's not really the film it's supposed to be. But taken for what it is, I think it's a great, fun throwback to Super Friends. Even with the bad CGI on Superman's face, and it is bad. But yeah, getting past all that in terms of the actual real overall quality of the movies, not just the ones I enjoy the most. Wonder Woman's the best. This was a strong number 2, and then Man of Steel would be a number 3. Then I would say Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad, in terms of actual quality. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this. 4 out of 4 for Aquaman. It's a great movie. I highly recommend you go see it, especially in theaters if you can. I'd say this movie would probably look beautiful in 3D. And I'll see you guys again.